don't miss us on The Herd weekdays at 12 Eastern. Catch it all right here Monday through Friday on FS1.
Discover cards going further with Miles rewards. Discover It Miles card automatically matches all the miles you earned at the end of the first year. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/travel. So yesterday, the GM of the Jets got fired, and a lot of people are saying, I can't believe they fired him after the draft. My theory on when you fire people, when you finally discover they're not the right people, then you get them out. Sometimes, there's contracts to deal with. Other people aren't open. You may want to fire somebody, but somebody else isn't available for 3 months. When you fire somebody, at the last 7-8 GMs fired, they've been fired in a bunch of different months. This is also a 365-day-a-year league. Okay, there is no perfect day. You could say the perfect day is in the summer, but I could argue a GM's job starts Labor Day with all the college football. So you can't fire a guy in August because then I have to get an entirely different staff, and all the best guys have already been hired by Labor Day. There is no perfect time to fire a GM. Before the draft, is that smart? Well, who's going to run your draft? If you had to fire him a month before the draft and you fired all the scouts, well, who in the hell's in the draft room? I mean, so they basically knew once they hired Adam Gase, these guys weren't going to work, but they just wanted to get through the draft. This was an incompetent general manager who drafted a quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, who I said at the time had no chance to ever even be a backup in this league. When I can figure this out over a GM, you're not good at your job. They have whiffed. They have whiffed on draft after draft. Even the guys they've hit on, Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold, Quinnen Williams, were obvious picks that anybody could have made. Quinnen Williams was the best player in the draft. Everybody knew it. Just the two teams atop of the Jets. Arizona needed a quarterback, and the Niners needed a pass rusher worse than Quinnen Williams. That's not a big pick. Anybody can make that pick. You'd make it, I'd make it, anybody would make it. The reason you had to make this move fast, though, is because of Sam Darnold. It's the reason last year the Cleveland Browns got rid of Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, because of Baker Mayfield. When you find what you believe is a young star for the next decade, you are on the clock, baby. You don't have any time to waste. So they got Todd Bowles out immediately, and let's get an offensive guy, and they did that because Adam Gase was going to get a job somewhere else, so let's get him quickly. Offensive coach. That's why Freddie Kitchens got the job. He was in-house. He's an offensive coach. You got to get these quarterbacks offensive guys. Matt Nagy to Mitch Trubisky saved his career. Okay, reality. You got to get these young quarterbacks offensive coaches. Sean McVay saved Jared Goff's career. Okay, the other thing is Gase gets a lot of heat here. Adam Gase had a winning record when Ryan Tannehill was his quarterback. And then he got hurt, and he had Jay Cutler, Matt Moore, and Brock Osweiler. By the way, he was 13-11 with Tannehill. 7 of the 11 losses were one possession. Coaches get fired all the time. Pete Carroll's been fired twice. Andy Reid's been fired. Bill Belichick's been fired. Mike Shanahan's been fired. Who cares? It's the NFL. It's like being a DJ. Howard Stern's been fired twice. Every DJ's been fired. There are certain industries you get fired. You don't get fired as a school teacher unless you're inappropriate. You get fired as a head coach if you're great, but you just don't have the quarterback. So, by the way, why aren't we crushing Kyle Shanahan? The media's not doing their homework on this. Why are we not crushing Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco right now? He has a losing record because he didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't win in this league without a quarterback. Pete Carroll had a losing record in Seattle before Russell Wilson. Belichick fired in Cleveland. Had a losing record in New England. And then Bledsoe got hurt. Brady comes in. You can't win in this league with a bad quarterback or an old quarterback or an injured quarterback. Adam Gase is good. Winning record. Beat the Patriots twice. 13-11. 7 losses, 1 possession. That's with a dysfunctional owner. So you got to get bad people out of a building, but the timing is overrated. I've been in this business 20 years, 30 years, right? There have been people I know that are getting whacked at my old place. You know, but you got to wait for the contract. Who are you going to replace them with? There's a lot of things to think about here. And ideally, you'd like to. I'm told the ideal situation is fire the GM in December. Everybody's, that's a fire. Okay, but maybe the guy they had to replace the guy they fired, wasn't available in December. So you wouldn't want to fire a GM in December and just float out there as you're looking for a new coach, Adam Gase, who was going to get more than one offer. And Adam Gase is like, I'm not going to the Jets. You don't even have... So they wanted to bring Gase in. Hey, we've got a GM. You publicly support the GM. You get through the draft and then out. But this franchise is Darnold and Gase. That's what it is. And for the record, that's what it should be. That's who should be running this franchise. Adam Gase and Sam Darnold. That's the franchise. The great young offensive quarterback with nothing to work with, thanks to the last guy that you just fired, and Adam Gase, who had a winning record in this league. But you got to get over this whole, well, Adam Gase, why aren't you crushing Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco? He got a terrible record. But he's got a good record when Jimmy Garoppolo's healthy. So, when you fire people is NFL's a 365-day proposition. It just is. And by the way, the reality is this general manager, I like their moves in free agency. They overspent for people, but, I get it. It's just in order for this franchise going forward, they're going to have to pay Sam Darnold big money in a couple years. They have got to nail the next two drafts, and this guy was bad with drafts. So the next two drafts, the Jets have to nail it, because in 3 years, they are bringing the Brinks truck for Sam Darnold. And by the way, they're doing the same thing for Baker Mayfield in 2 to 3 years. So these drafts for these teams like Cleveland and the Jets are really, really important. The Browns are doing their part. The Jets have been a mess. Now they got to get rid of the